It's good to know you have rejoined us again on the program. Good morning, Abuja, and it is coming to you from the Unity Station NTA, Channel 5, Abuja. And now to a very serious topic of discussion we have before us this morning, talking about securities of passengers and drivers in the FCT. This morning, we'll be looking at a topic that says security for app-based transport worker. We are talking about e-hailing drivers and passengers, prospects and challenges in Nigeria. And this morning, I've been joined with the National Chairman, Committee for Action, Protocol, Investigation, Policy and Security, Amalgamated Union of App-Based Transporters of Nigeria, in person of Comrade Fred Aleburu. Comrade, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
All
Good
right.
morning, Nigeria.
Good morning, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Well, this it interests me that we are talking about the passengers, the safety of the passengers and the drivers, talking about e-hailing activities on our road. Now, let's start from how safe do passengers feel when using these e-hailing services in Nigeria?
Okay, thank you so much once again. Basically, the passengers, I can say that they are 95% safe
Wow.
on the app.
Okay.
Because the app ride-hailing company, they designed the system in a way that the passengers will be safe.
Okay.
For example, let me discuss about the safety for passengers.
Okay.
Now, the profiling of drivers is 110% if there's anything to be included in that regard. Because remember, it is the driver, the app-based transport worker, the driver that will take the passenger.
Yes.
And for you to sign up to become an app-based transport worker, an e-hailing driver in any of the ride-hailing company, you must be captured with your driver's license, national identity card, and your bank details, which include your BVN and every other thing included. Now, any responsible driver wouldn't want to perpetuate himself
at all,
because the next day
your data is being collected.
It will be published.
Yes.
Driver wanted. So you can see the only area that you see passengers have issues is when they go to negotiate offline. When I drive to your location as a driver, then you start to negotiate offline.
Somebody wants to be smart,
right?
Yeah.
When whatever happens during that trip, it is not the responsibility of the ride-hailing company to actually know what happened because it's not tracked. Driver will not be held responsible because every trip is tracked. And of course, there's a feature on the app and most of these ride-hailing apps that when you start the trip, you share your location or the trip with your loved ones. So to ensure safety, right? On the side of the passenger, like I said, except a passenger, in rare cases, wants to work with the app-based transport worker, the e-hailing driver, outside of the app, which is called offline. When you work on the offline trip, you cannot be tracked. That's why people do not give you the full story. They will tell you that they have had a terrible experience with an e-hailing driver and all that. But the truth of the matter is that the full story was not told because any trip that is properly mapped, which means it's online trip, you cannot responsibly do it because you know that your data is already secured with all the relevant app-based transport company where you are taking trip from.
Okay, this thing is vice versa.
Yes.
We've talked about the passengers. Yes. How about the drivers?
Well,
within the online.
Yes, the driver is on the platform are 120% unsafe.
Wow.
120% unsafe in the sense that I just mentioned that the passengers, they have, the driver, before you sign up, you have to provide all the necessary valid identity documents. But on the side of the passengers, They are not profiled like the way the drivers are profiled. You, just as you are sitting here, you can just request for, sign up for any app company, just with your phone number and your email, you just sign up. Your photo is not even captured, nothing. So it means that you can even use a pre-registered phone number to, book for a ride and perpetuate evil with the driver. And of course, we have lost so many drivers. They kill them, take their vehicles, and, excuse me, when you get back to the app company and ask them, please provide us with the details of this, your passenger, they will tell you that they're also looking for the details of the passenger. They can't find it.
Okay, now let's bring it. Tango, we're talking about the security for both the passengers and the driver. Now, yes, how do app-based transport platform address security concerns for drivers and passengers involved?
It's very simple.
Okay.
They should share equal identity, valid identity documents, okay, while signing up. When you accept, the way you accepted the driver on the platform, also accept the rider on the platform, so that in case a driver reports an action that is not palatable, you can easily have a data, okay, of the passengers to fall back on for investigation. For example, the system has a way of checkmating, which we call algorithm. Okay. Now, when you book me and I drive you to your location, you are going to rate me whether I behaved well in the vehicle during the trip or not. Now, it is not a human being that checkmates that system. Is automated. Okay. It is what you put in, it is what the passenger puts in that the system will automate. It's called algorithm in the system. Now, if you like my face as a passenger, you may get to the destination and say the driver behaved well, obviously 5-star. But maybe in the vehicle, you didn't like my face. There's no problem within us, but you just didn't like my face. What you will simply do, you will give me 0 or you give me 1 star. Right. Now, the system will book me for not professionally behaved during that trip, right? Now, our drivers have suffered a lot in this regard.
When you were talking about the problems, the challenges you faced between the drivers and the passengers, you talked about how some of your drivers have been killed. Now, I want you to comment on the common threats faced by e-hailing drivers, such as physical attack, now theft, because you mentioned it, but we want you to specifically bring some points out for more clarity.
Okay, thank you so much for bringing this up again. On the threats on our lives, the e-hailing driver, the app-based transport workers, we face this threat all day long in the hands of the passengers, because they are acting on the loopholes. They know that whatever they do, they will not be checkmated, because first, they don't have the records to be checkmated. Yes. And the app-based ride-hailing company, right? They do not take the matter of drivers seriously. For example, the threat on drivers is always more highly at night time.
Wow.
Once it's evening to night, they are always vulnerable. For example, in the recent time, there was somebody that in Guanipa Axis, they got to their destination. They have gotten to their destination, and one thing lead to the other, because the passenger knows that his data are not on the database properly, on the database of the ride-hailing company. He slapped the passenger.
Wow.
In fact, took his car key.
The passenger slapped the driver.
Yeah, the passenger slapped the driver, took his car key. In an attempt for him to retrieve the car key, he was pleading, give him my car key. The videos are all over. The guy physically assaulted him, like the passenger behaved like Muhammad Ali. He bossed the driver, and the driver fell down flat. Till today, that passenger was not blocked. He was not suspended by the ride-hailing company.
All right. This is a very interesting discussion this morning. Now that you have everything, the data of drivers, what are you doing to as well inculcate the data of passengers to have a balance? Well, you're going to respond to that when we come back from this break. Yes, the program is Good Morning Abuja, and we are here. We are talking about the safety of passengers and the drivers, talking about the e-hailing transport mechanism. Now, let's go on this quick break. When we come back, we'll still be here to give you more. Stay with us, please. Welcome back, and if you've just tuned in, the program is Good Morning Abuja, and it is coming to you from the Unity Station. Yes, before we went on that break, I told you that you are going to tell us how we can profile passengers' data as well to strike a balance.
Okay, it is not our responsibility as drivers or as a union.
All right.
But because we can only talk about our own data, the data of drivers, we have it on our database. We have a website. We have a UID. We have captured most of our drivers. It is the responsibility of the ride-hailing companies to capture the data of their passengers, because if they don't do that, it becomes a more threat on the workers. And without the workers, you cannot make any money
at all.
Now, we agree that this opportunity provided by the e-hailing industry has actually alleviated suffering from a considerable number of the young people and adults as well in Nigeria.
Because I was going to ask, I know this has provided a lot of job opportunities for our young ones, even the graduates out there.
Of course.
Even some workers, after work, you see them go.
They turn on their app to do a side hustle, as they will call it.
Yes. So in going forward and in preparing solution to some of these threats and challenges, what do you think should be done?
Okay. The way to provide solution to this aforementioned challenges is for the government to step in. We need there should be a legislation. We need the legislation to actually have all the aforementioned security for app-based transport subsector, transportation subsector. We need legislation for it, because without that, the ride-hailing companies will be capitalizing on the weak laws that we are currently having. That, of course, most of these things, this ride-hailing, e-hailing, is not even mentioned in our law. So we need a repeal of that law, and we need the legislation so that we can have a safe ride-hailing system in Nigeria. Let me tell you, you see, most of our young, ladies have become widow. Their husbands goes out on daily basis. They don't know if they will return because of this simple insecurity that would have been solved with a simple policy by the federal government. Let me tell you, do you know that the federal government is not even looking at the e-hailing industry? I tell you, in Nigeria, the drivers, the app-based workers, both the ones that are captured, who have registered on our UI through our website, and the ones that are not captured, we are more than 120,000 drivers in Nigeria. And I tell you, yes, and annually, what the annual turnover in that regard for annual turnover is about 8.4 billion naira. We are talking about the prospects now, right?
Yes.
But the government, they are looking at oil, they are looking at all this. But you see, this e-hailing industry is a gold mine.
This is interesting. Take us through more on the prospects in e-hailing.
You see, the prospect, when there's a good legislation, and you compare the ride-hailing companies to pay their taxes, because like I said in most of my interviews, they are evading tax. If I say annual turnover, as we have calculated, is about 8.4 billion. What am I saying? 800 billion.
800 billion.
I'm talking about 800. Yes, I'm talking about 800 billion annual turnover. And the government is not looking at it. They don't know. They are not aware about what's going on. If we, actually to put our energies together as a sector and pick up our knowledge on how we can support the economy of this Nigeria economy with that, I think we can make a lot of progress in terms of if we can make progress in that regard, because that's not that the VAT on that alone is about 56 billion. The VAT on that. Do you understand it? But I tell you, like I said before, the federal government is not even careful to look into this
then what are you doing
market.
as an organization? Because quite a huge amount of money is coming out from, let me call it, this industry.
Yep.
So what are you now doing to voice out, to ensure your voice is being heard even at the national level, talking about the policy level?
Yeah, thank you so much. And that's why NTA Network Channel 5
Okay, Channel 5.
yes, is
NTA
helping
Channel
us now
5,
and is
yes.
taking the lead. This program is going to continue.
Okay.
We are going to continue to educate the federal government, the state government, and every sector to come and invest their time on this,
Okay.
so that we can help the nation with the resources we have. This is not an American thing. This is not a European thing. We are in Nigeria, and this thing can be done in Nigeria. Who says that the FCT cannot have its own app to operate within the FCT? I tell you, it's a gold mine. But we must be careful not to destroy the golden eggs. I mean, the golden hen that lays the golden egg, which is the drivers. The passengers are secure, like I said, but the drivers are not secure. They need to be secured. The government must compel the ride-hailing companies through a policy framework to protect the drivers by profiling the riders properly, by sharing equal identity documents on the app.
Okay, thank you so much. You have voiced out, and the appropriate sector that they've heard, and I know they will swing into action to ensure that they protect, especially both the drivers and the passengers, because we ask that as they profile drivers, let the passengers to be profiled, so that we can create a balance.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time with us this morning, Comrade Fred Leburu, who is the National Chairman, Committee for Action, Protocol, Investigation, Policy and Security, Amalgamated Union of App-Based Transporters of Nigeria.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
once
much.
again for coming on our show.
Thank you
We
so
do
much.
really appreciate your
Thank
time.
you.
Okay. Yes, the program is Good Morning Abuja. Let's go on this quick break. When we come back, we'll still be here to give you more. Stay with us, please. Good to know you have rejoined us again on the program Good Morning Abuja, and it is coming to you from the Unity Station NTA Channel 5 Abuja. Now I have a guest with me in the studio, and we want to talk about a very interesting topic, talking about a debatable and a topic before us as Nigerians. What am I referring to? I'm talking about Nigeria Tax Reform Bills 2024. And I have a financial and tax consultant with me in the studio to take us through it. Help me welcome Afiz Ismaila to the program. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
All right. We are glad to have you join us to talk about Nigeria Tax Reform Bills 2024. Now, can you provide us an overview of the key provisions of the new tax reform bills are currently under consideration in the National Assembly?
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
The current the tax reform going on, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu actually sent 4 bills to the National Assembly for consideration.
Okay.
One of those bills is the Nigerian Tax Bill,
Okay.
2024, Nigerian Tax Administration Bill, Nigerian Revenue Service Establishment Bill, then Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill. So the Nigerian Tax Bill, where they actually address the issue of income tax, which is the company income tax, capital gain tax, petroleum profit tax, and personal income tax. And they will now have the aspect of value added tax, excise duty, and stamp duties. So for the Nigerian tax administration bill, what we have in terms of administration, payment, and technology in taxation. Then now the next one, the Nigerian joint tax establishment bill, where we have the Nigerian joint tax board and tax tribunal. I think the essence of this, or what the federal government is trying to achieve, is to see how they can modernize our outdated tax system, so that we'll be able to have what we call more of enhance our tax compliance. There will be expansion in the current tax base, and the federal government can also diversify the various revenue streams that we have in we have in the economy. Yeah. So another thing that I also need to also be pointed out that this current tax reform is actually beneficial to individuals and SMEs in the sense that some low income earners will not be paying personal income tax anymore again.
Okay.
For most especially people that earn less than 800,000 naira annually in a year will not be subjected to PIT. Also too as well, for SMEs that their annual turnover is less than 50 million will not pay CIT anymore again. What we have today is 25 million. So
Yes.
it has geared up to 50 million naira now. They won't pay. And then another aspect, key provision of it also is that the current CIT of 30% is now brought down to 25% for
Okay.
medium size company. So I think what the government is trying to achieve is in terms of revenue generation and economic growth at the same time. So I think it's a good step in the right direction. There's a need for us to align ourselves with the current dynamics.
Okay.
The world is changing, the world is evolving, so we really need to evolve too as well. So it's just good thing that we have a president that is a visionary leader.
Okay.
Because what a visionary leader will see, some people may not see it. So, but I can assure you that people who are deep thinker, who have depth knowledge of things, who have depth insight, will see that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So all these reforms that the president have embarked upon since last year will definitely have their own gestation period.
Okay.
By the time they begins to mature, people will now see that truly this is a president that actually know what he's doing. But throughout the gestation period, there will be a lot of pains within that period.
Yes.
And I think that is what Nigeria can't afford to bear at the moment now. But this is just for the future, for our future generation.
It's a phase you're going
It's a
through
phase that
as a
we're going as a
nation.
nation. Then
Okay.
again, we have a president who is committed to structural changes.
Okay.
He's very resilient in decision taking and he's very courageous. Courageous in the sense that he stands by his words because he believed that there's a result at the end of the day. And I think he wants to write his name in gold so that posterity will judge him that
After
truly
he's not there.
when he's not there, that no, truly, when I was there, these were things I was able to do. I'll give you an example. Chief Obafemi Awolowo, I think when he was late, I'm not sure I was born at that time. But the reality is that part of his legacy in Southwest, I benefited from it, which is free education.
Okay.
My secondary school was a free education.
Wow.
I went to Lagos State Model College, Bola. It was free education. I went to Lagos State University. It was free. We pay school fees, but the state will refund it back to us. Even though so I was able to get scholarship. These were part of legacy that Awolowo leave. Look at when Awolowo is late, and look up till now, that legacy is still there. So I think this is what the current president is also trying to do. Because if you look at the way it started from subsidy removal down to FX notification, down to electricity tariff. Now we are now coming to tax reform. So the reality is that we really need to know the really worth of what we are consuming. Like I used to tell people, we're living a fake life before. The current government is more like a reality check. It's like a blessing in disguise. Everybody will now actually know what their worth is. You see, the problem with Nigerian is that we want to compare ourselves with Canada, America,
other countries.
I'll ask you, what is the tax to GDP ratio in those countries and in Nigeria? In those countries, it is 2%, it's double digits. But in Nigeria here, it's less than 5 or 7%. In those countries use taxes to provide subsidy to their citizens. What now in Nigeria, we're using borrowing debt to provide subsidy. It's not sustainable. So it's like dipping a big well for the future.
When you talk about that, our president is a very courageous man. I tend to agree with you because I say what we are going through now is like a transformation stage.
It's a transformation
and
stage.
there's a light at a tunnel. Now, as you're here and you are giving us the benefit to which the Nigerian tax reform bills should be considered a perfect one. Now, talk to us the impact it will have on the average Nigerian taxpayers, especially those subject to personal income tax.
Yeah, that is what I've said earlier on that. And the reality is that some will not be able to, they won't pay tax anymore again. Because in the proposed bill, people who earn, is it 800 or 1.7 million naira downward will not be subjected to PIT anymore again. So while people will earn above, which means that the richer will be the pay, while the low income earner will get some relief.
Wow.
So in that getting some relief, that will make them to have more disposable income at time to do other things. People that run SME businesses, if your turnover is less than 50 million, you will not be subjected to company income tax anymore again. Unlike the current threshold where we have 25 million, you have to pay 20%. Then another thing is that they've dropped CIT for medium-sized enterprise from 30% to 25% now. So these are the benefits attached to it. You know, the problem with Nigeria is that we are very quicker to look at the demerits. We don't look at the advantage. You understand? One of the things creating the heated argument today about this tax is about VAT, which is derivation. Now, the reality about this is that, you know, I would like to play with numbers. The current VAT formula today states that federal government take 15%, state government will share 50%, while local government will share 35%. Now, when they get in the VAT pool. Now, let me talk about the federal government is the gatekeeper, the village head. It takes, let's say, 100 billion was remitted in November, let me use last month, and they need to share this month of December. Now, federal government will take its own 50%, which is 15 billion, where they will use to cater for their own needs. Now, local government share 35, which is 774 local government that we have. Then the 50 billion is now the issue now. The 50 billion, there's something we call equity, population, and derivation. In the current formula, derivation has 20%, equity has 50%, while population has 30%. Now, this 50 billion is what the 36 states, including FCT, will share. So what this means is that 50% of 50 billion is 25 billion, right? All the 36 states, including FCT, will share that 25 billion on an equality basis. So, you know, it remains 25 billion. You know, it's remains 25 billion, which is into 30 and 20. Based on your population in your state, is that they will now share 30% of the 50 billion, which is 15 billion. So if, for instance, now I have a state A, let's say Abia contributed 2 naira, Edo contributed 5 naira. The sharing of that will be based on your population. Then the 20% derivation is based on, they are using what we call remittance model, where most of those headquarters of those companies have been situated that are actually remitted. They will not share based on derivation. That is for the current formula. Now the proposed formula now has it that from 15%, federal government is going to have 10%. So that 5% has been added to states, making it 55%, while local government still have 35%. However, that 55% that the 36 states will share, including FCT, derivation is now carrying 60%. Equity is carrying 20%, while population is carrying 20%. They are now using what we call consumption model, that where most of those goods is being consumed is one that will enjoy more informed to the 60% derivation. See the lacuna now. If you remember, equity is 50, is now 20. That means that some states will lose about 30% from what they are getting. In terms of population, which was 30 before, that's now 20, another 10 will lose. So in terms of derivation, the states who are the one contributing more, that were enjoying 20, is now 60, so they will enjoy more. So there is plus and minus in one area, and there is minus in another area.
You know, this discussion is getting interesting.
But the reality is that this will now allow some states to begin to develop their local economy. One, they will not depend on federal allocation going forward again
anymore,
and they will be more accountable of what they are earning, and they will be able to be creative in their own space. So it will not be a collective responsibility. So the aspect of monkey they work, baboon they chop will not be there anymore.
Let's quickly go on this break. When we come back, you will give us the eye opener to see the benefit of this tax reform we are talking about. Yes, we are here and we are talking about Nigerian tax reform bills 2024. Let's go on this quick break. When we come back, we'll still be here to give you more. Stay with us, please. Welcome back, and if you've just tuned in, the program is Good Morning Abuja, and the topic before us is Nigeria Tax Reform Bills 2024. Before we went on that break, you were trying to make us see the benefit both at the federal, local, and government levels. Take it up from there.
Okay, now what I'm saying is that this thing it's a good step in the right direction.
Okay.
Now, what the president is trying to achieve through this presidency is trying to achieve through this is that it will now be more of a collective responsibility.
Okay.
In the sense that the aspect where some people are not being creative in their own space, they will be forced to be able to do so.
Okay.
Because if you are not using a consumption model, you now need to start boosting to see how you can boost your own local economy within your own state. Now, the aspect of you being dependent on federal allocation, now you know that you need to do more. So you have to work for what you will eat.
What you earn.
What you earn. So because you can't give what you don't
have at all.
So we need to be creative in our own space. You see, one of the good things that this administration may have done, which I used to tell people that it has made a lot of Nigerians to think outside the box.
The box, yes.
You know, when your head hits the wall and you come back, it will be open. Go and check it now.
When you feel the pain and you know
when you feel the pain
anymore,
is, yeah, you know your head will open, your thinking cap will open. You know, we're all in our comfort zone before. So we've now seen the president that is taking each and every one of us from that comfort zone to now begin to see what the light is looking at today. So that is just the reality. You know, people don't want to work, but they want to eat. It doesn't work anywhere again. Now we now have a system, an economic system whereby if you don't work, nothing will come to the table. There's no free lunch anymore.
Even in free time.
Again.
All right.
So you just have to do the job and get yourself filled and get satisfied. At the end of the day, work for what you earn.
What you earn. Now, there's one more question before I let you go. Now, what are the anticipated macroeconomic effects on the tax reform on Nigeria, overall economic growth and fiscal stability?
Number one is that there will be financial stability, fiscal stability.
Okay.
You understand? There will be fiscal stability. One, government will be able to generate more revenue. You understand? There will be expansion in our economic space, economic growth today. Now, government will be able to diversify their revenue sources. There will be growth there will be more growth in non-oil tax revenue, because the objective now is revenue generation and economic growth. Reform is all about getting us better, taking us from where we are to a more beneficial state. So like I said earlier, there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay.
I think this president know exactly what they are doing. Right. We've seen the fourth one. We don't know what the fifth one will look like. Again.
But it's still to the benefit of all of us.
It's still to the benefit of all of us. It's just that the pain, you know, when you go to a football field to play football and get injured on the field, and you come back home and your mom begin to use hot water to suppress you'll be crying a lot of pain during that process. It's a transformation process.
And it's better we cry now.
It's better we cry than for us to, you know, we're all sitting on a time bomb before, and the time bomb have exploded now, and we're all seeing the reality of the way things are going. What the president is doing, anybody that get there will do the same. The good thing that we even have someone that has the courage to even do it. Because it's not about, you know, you can have capacity, you can have the competency, you can have the good character to say you want to do things. But if the courage is not there, it's a big issue. Like I used to tell people, the people that really want real change to Nigeria today, they are less than 10% of the population.
Wow.
And if the courage is not there, forget it. The people that are just shouting, it's because they are not there. We have what I call awaiting looters. If they get there, they can even do the worst.
Okay, they've given me sign already. Finally, before we go, your last one and your advice.
My advice for the judge that we just have to be patient with this government.
Okay.
And we should keep praying for the president. That is the only thing that we can do, because we now see a president that has that courage. We've seen a president who is a visionary leader. We see a president who is resilient in his decision taking. We've seen a president who is committed to structural reform. The only thing is for us to keep praying. Our problem in Nigeria is religions and ethnicity. We need to put this aside. Let's look at the overall objective, the national development, as it will affect us and it will affect our children. And so that in the future, our children will not begin to swear for us while we are in our grave.
All right, thank you so much for your time with us this morning. And I tend to agree with you that, yes, we are going through pain now, but it's better we are patient to go through this process and laugh later and be comfortable later. Thank you so much, Hafiz Ismaila, a financial and tax consultant. And together, we looked at Nigeria Tax Reform Bills 2024. We do really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, the program is Good Morning Abuja. Let's now go on this quick break. When we come back, we'll still be here to give you more. Stay with us, please.